I'm going to show you how I digitized handwritten journals using my phone and ChatGPT. I'll walk you through the process and share tips on managing this when you've got a lot to digitize. I'll also prepare you for what to do if you hit upload limits or content safety guardrails. I'll show how well this handles unstructured text. In the end, I was able to extend the span of my digitized journals by over 2 years. I'll give my honest assessment of how well it performed for me. Let's dive in. I've been journaling for well over 35 years. Initially, I used bullet lists and daily planners, but then my journaling practice blossomed. It became more than a hobby. It turned into a tool that helped me in several ways. Fast forward to today, I had already digitized almost 24 years worth of journals, but missing from that was the origin story of my journaling journey, along with the pivotal events that led me to ramp up my journaling activity. I knew I had some earlier journals buried away somewhere. I knew they existed because, after all, as a life logger, I never delete anything and I never throw away any writings, much less journals, at least not until I've digitized it. I knew these journals must exist in handwritten form. I finally dug them up. There they were. Journals from the very beginning, including the key journals that describe the origin story of my journaling journey. But they were handwritten. How was I going to digitize them? I could have used parrot-style transcription, reading the text aloud while a speech-to-text algorithm converted my words to text. However, I already had experience with this technique. It was laborious, time-consuming, and worse, it strained my throat. Years ago, I tried using this method to digitize my audio journals, but gave up because it was too taxing and produced inconsistent quality. On top of all that, 6 months ago I suffered a respiratory illness with lingering symptoms. It was painful to speak for long stretches. Alternatively, I could have typed each entry. That didn't sound fun. I really wanted to avoid typing if possible. But how? ChatGPT to the rescue. I wondered how well it could handle this task. I tested this approach on a couple of typical entries and was greatly encouraged by the results. So I dug in and did the rest. Here's how I did it. Step 1. Photograph them. I didn't scan, I just used my iPhone camera. I took the photos at the golden hour with diffuse natural light. Step 2. Edit the photographs to improve contrast. I did the following edits: converted to monochrome, increased contrast, reduced tint, saturation, and warmth. Increased definition, adjusted brightness and exposure to enhance the text. These edits made the writing stand out from the background. I used my phone app to copy the edits from one photo and paste them to all 85 photos at once. Step 3. Set up your pipeline. I use the mobile version of the ChatGPT app on my phone because that's where my photos were. I sat down with my phone and laptop. I created a text file on my laptop. Next, I created a new chat session. I renamed it so that I could reference it later. I prompted the chat like so. You are going to be my handwritten journal digitization assistant. I will give you a photo of one or more handwritten journal entries, and you will convert it to text. You will faithfully convert the handwriting into text. Let me know if there are problematic issues in digitizing these journal pages that I present to you. Do you understand? The ChatGPT mobile app allows 4 photos to be uploaded at a time. It also nicely segments the transcript for each image, so that when you do a select all, it only selects the text for that page of journal content. I copied it from the ChatGPT mobile app on my phone and pasted it into the file on my laptop. My phone and laptop are synchronized to allow me to copy-paste from one device to the other. Then I gave the text a quick scan and repeated for the next image in the batch. Then, once that batch was done, I did a new batch. I tried not to get too immersed into reading each entry. I did a close review later by comparing each entry with the original journal entry. This made it quicker for me, but you might wish to do it differently, and that's okay. Pro tip: start a fresh chat session if its performance slips. This could be evident by increased confabulation, or by it giving you a transcript from a previous set of photographs, other than the ones you just uploaded. It did this well up until I had uploaded 40 photos. At that point, it seemed to get confused and forgot what it was supposed to do. I tried to remind it of its purpose, but after a couple more upload attempts, it was clear it had lost the thread. I created a fresh chat session. Pro tip: be aware of upload rate limits. At this point, I had uploaded 48 photos. In the second session, I was able to upload about 10 more when I reached a rate limit. The rate limit depends on the number of files and the average file size and whether the plan you are on is free or paid. It might also be different if you're using the API in the Playground sandbox. For images, there's currently a limit of 20 megabytes per image, though this could change in future. There's probably a limit on the total number of gigabytes that you can upload within a given number of hours. However, I was unable to locate the final word on that. But no matter, I was going to have to wait about 90 minutes before I could resume. I could have used this break to review and compare the digital transcripts that had been done thus far with the original handwritten entries. In my case, the restart time was nearing my bedtime, so I picked it up again in the morning. Pro tip: be aware of content safeguards. If your content has strong language or intense themes, you might get hit with one of these messages. I was able to continue without interruption. However, you might need to explain things to the chat assistant so that it doesn't refuse to continue. Final step: review each transcript against the original. After I had transcribed all the images and copied the transcripts over to a text file, I then got the original journal and compared each page of journal content against the transcript. So, how well does it do? It does remarkably well. It does sometimes introduce errors, however, even its errors make sense. For example, when it gets a word wrong, it would replace the word with a different one that made sense in context. When it had difficulty reading the text, it would alert me. It does very well on content formatted as a bullet list. It was much less prone to introducing transcription errors on list-formatted content. It did an impressive job of maintaining the formatting of text that was in list format, having multiple levels of indentation. It properly respected bullet lists versus numbered list. It was able to properly transcribe tables. It was able to properly digitize a page onto which I had pasted 2 business cards and a receipt. It was able to make sense of pages where I had 2 different blocks of text side by side on the page. It was even able to read the date and time for an entry, even though that was on the opposite side of the page, and even though it was mirrored. I only had to process 85 pages, so the way I did it was good enough. However, I could imagine ways to scale this up. You might be able to streamline the process using the desktop version of the app, which might allow uploading more files per batch. Or you could use the API. I did not test either of those approaches, so your mileage may vary. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised at how well this worked out. I expected it to take longer, and I expected it to be more mentally taxing than it was. What handwritten treasures do you want to see digitized? Whatever it is, my experience shows that the tools are available to unlock your handwritten memories. So much for now. See you next time.